Namaskar. Hello friends. We have been talking about karmic law. We will continue with it today and wrap it up. Let's see what is concept of bondage of karma bandha. The concept of karma, that is action, and karma bandha, that is bondage of karma, is quite difficult to understand. It is popularly theorized that the law of karma dictates that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. In other words, if one does a bad deed, he will receive appropriate punishment, and if one does a good deed, he will receive appropriate credit for the same. However, the above law does not seem to be operating totally fairly and squarely in this big bad world. We can see bad actions getting rewarded and good doers suffering, especially in the current era of Kali Yuga as per Indian tradition. So, to explain this, one more theory is put forward, that the appropriate fruit of one's karma may take time to materialize. It may even span across many lives. One needs a very solid faith to be able to believe and accept this theory of karma. On the basis of my reading and understanding of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, whose major emphasis is on karma yoga, that is path of action without bothering about its outcome, here is a little different presentation of the theory of karma. I believe the following view enables me to accept the theory of karma in a rational manner without having to believe in life after death, or without having to put faith in the ultimate fairness of law of karma when taken in the totality of all the lives. The fundamental principle of Vedantic philosophy is that there is only a singular concept, that is entity, which is called Brahman, which is one without any other. This singular concept wishes to be many, and hence it splits itself into various triads, that is called as Triputi. For example, karma, karta, and karya, that is action, actor, and outcome respectively. These three parts have an interrelationship of a particular nature, which is experienced by our consciousness. Now, for most of us ordinary beings, our consciousness is limited to our body. Therefore, we perceive the interrelationships between the components of this triad in a way that is called cause-effect relationship. So the most common So the most common manifestation of such a perception is a belief that this particular action of mine, or let us say action of anyone else, has caused this or that effect. We believe that some past action of ours or someone else's is a cause of a particular scenario that actually materialized at a later point in time. This tendency to tie every actual present situation to some actions in the past, and by corollary to tie every action in the present to some outcome in future, is what To my mind, the essence of karma bondage is, it is said in our scriptures that we human beings are not really tied to anything in this perceptible world, which is simply Maya or an illusion. However, because of our ignorance, we start believing mistakenly that we are bound by this, that, and other things. Karma bandha is also an illusory binding that in fact does not exist. There is this classic metaphor of parrot. When a hunter wants to catch a parrot, he hangs a tube from the branch of a tree. A parrot comes and sits on the tube, and the tube rotates due to the weight of the parrot. The parrot turns upside down and gets so fearful as if it is falling. So it clutches very dearly to the tube and does not let go at all. Then the hunter can come and take the parrot away easily in his own sweet time. The parrot believes it is tied to the tube, or it believes the tube provides it the security, or it forgets its true identity as a bird that can simply fly away. Our ignorance similarly makes us believe mistakenly that we are bound by the law of karma. We mistakenly believe that we are the doer of our actions and that we are the enjoyer or sufferer of the fruit of our actions. That is the karma bondage, which is only due to our not knowing who we truly are, namely that we are a soul. If we can identify with our true nature, which is simply as a passive observer of this game of creation, there will be no karma bondage. If we do something, we have to experience the consequences of our action in accordance with the laws of the world we live in. That is the worldly interpretation. But the laws of the world are not always fair. They may not always reward us with the due benefits, nor may they catch up with a wrongdoer every time he takes a wrongful action to punish him. Hence, we may or may not always experience the expected consequences of our actions. So, the worldly bondage of karma is somewhat tenuous. In a spiritual sense, bondage of karma should be understood to be on the mental plane rather than on the physical plane. When we get a desire in our mind, we start thinking about what we need to do to fulfill that desire. Thus, the bondage between our action and the desire is already created in our mind. It is then natural that we remain mentally stuck to or preoccupied with the possible outcome of our actions oriented towards achieving the desired objective. Also, after we take whatever action we think is necessary and we are capable of, our objective will either be fulfilled or not fulfilled. Accordingly, we will feel happy or unhappy and analyze our actions in the context of the outcome. Thus, we bind our actions and the outcome in our mind. Shri Krishna repeatedly tells in Srimad Bhagavad Gita that yogis, that is liberated souls, although performing all normal actions, do not suffer from karma bondage because they have given up desire for the fruit of their action and they have discarded the doership. In other words, he is saying that yogis do not indulge in cause-effect tie-up like we ordinary people do. Yogis are simply performing an action every moment that may be appropriate in the situation without any mission or even an objective in mind. They simply accept the present moment in its totality without trying to connect it to some past actions. That is the essence of the yogis not being bound by karma bondage. For bondage, two things are necessary: action and outcome at the two ends of the bond. Since the concept of outcome is not present, there is no question of bond or bondage. Such a person, namely the yogi, will believe that his actions are inspired by the divine and he is not the doer of those actions. Moreover, he believes that every scenario is appearing in accordance with the divine will, and hence he does not bother about figuring out the cause-effect relationship between an action and its outcome. There is no such bondage in his mind. Such a person will very much experience the worldly bondage between his actions and their consequences, but that would be purely at the level of nature's laws. For example, if he touches a hot object, his hand will be burned. So that kind of bondage instantly actualizes by way of immediate experience and then gets dissolved. Excuse me. It does not get accumulated or carried over. Thus, such an evolved person, namely a yogi, is liberated from the bondage of karma while still living in this world in his body. He does not have to think about next life or previous life and about having to exhaust his karma account, because he does not hold any account at all.